So today was actually a very interesting day for not only the dollar, but for our pairs as well. Where today was a day where we had the opportunity to see pretty much all of our pairs rising, except for AU and NU. So all of our pairs were rising today, except for AU and NU. And with that, that kind of brings me to the point of talking about what it is that we're looking for next. So what we're looking for next is we have a few reports that are coming out tomorrow. And so with these reports, all of them are AM reports. So we have major reporting for the euro. We also have major reporting for the Canadian dollar. And then we also have major reporting for the US dollar. Both the Canadian news and the US news are that they will be reported at 8:30. Whereas there is the ISM services PMI numbers that are reported at 10. But then for the euro, those are overnight ideas, as that news will be reported at 5 a.m. And so with that, it's super important to pay very close attention, because for the dollar, the news is expected to be bearish. And so we could see this come back down here as far as for that bearishness, maybe retest 102 if that news does indeed come in the way that is expected. It really all just depends, because all of the news tomorrow is expected, and the consensus reports are that it would be bearish, which makes sense as to the reason why and we talked about this earlier in the week as well, but why it kind of decided to just exist in between the major quarter and the minor quarter. So from Wednesday evening into today and all through today, it just kind of existed in this space in between, because what will need to happen next is either this level will need to continue to hold, because this is the last level of support that is above the moving averages that it was able to collect. But if that news comes in as a surprise on the bullish end, then we could definitely see use this as a bit of a catapult, because of the fact that it has consolidated here now for a nice period. And this week it has already been above this area. So we'll see which happens for this idea tomorrow. Again, we just want to be prepared for these ideas. And then for the UC idea, with the bearish news coming in and being expected for the Canadian dollar, as well as bearish news being expected for the dollar, this will kind of end up being maybe a priced in trade, where, again, when you look at the trade idea, it's kind of staying in between these two minor quarters. So you have a minor quarter below, minor quarter, minor wildcard area above. So kind of staying in between these two areas. And so with that, we could definitely see that potentially continue, with this kind of trending down and kind of staying in that area until there is more news reported, or until these moving averages decide to kind of curl up and continue to kind of push this up, unless it comes down and breaks those moving averages. And so that's what we'll be looking for. And we also see we have here for the GU idea off of the kind of no movement day for the dollar. We have, if you will, this railroad here. So bullish up, bullish down, bearish down, and came right back around with the round trip, and then kind of just consolidated after showing weakness here above 127. So price not really wanting 127 yet. We have for the euro, we have this one being underneath all of this moving averages except for its 200. But with that, it is super important to note that this one, again, was showing weakness when it was seeking to be held above its 100, as well as when it was testing its 100 before it continued to drop every time it would touch it and test it. So that's something to keep your eye on. Again, with this U.S. news tomorrow, if the news does come in bearish, 67 would be a good place for another nice bounce. Whereas for this idea, recollecting the major quarter level after coming back down to this very familiar area and bouncing once again, this would be another familiar area for this price to be able to regain. And so for our yen pairs, again, everything was taken off today. So everything was looking nice today, made it back above all of its moving averages, which was something we talked about earlier this week, as far as our trade ideas, as far as for our yen pairs being underneath their moving averages. And then we have for the EU idea, this one being back above all of its moving averages as well. We have for the UJ idea, again, underneath this major wildcard area in this 200 area. It has not made it yet to the wildcard area, which is why this 200 was able to just kind of act as resistance to keep price below it. Now, again, if that news comes out tomorrow and it's bullish, or the market takes it as bullish, or takes the news as priced in, then we could see this one kind of make it back up here, touch this area. And so we'll keep our eyes out for that. But that news is expected to be bearish, though. We see for the CJ idea, with this one, again, back above 108, and continuing to show very great signs of incredible strength. And then we had the AJ idea, again, trying to push 97. And then we have the NJ idea, again, fighting and continuing to keep 90 after touching the minor quarter above of 90.25. So that's what we have for our different trade ideas, as well as the news that coincides with these ideas. And so we'll continue to keep our eyes posted as far as what takes place and what happens next and what we're looking for next for these ideas. And we'll continue to keep you guys updated here.